Alright guys, and welcome back. Right, I hope you enjoyed last week's video featuring this little dude, but we're back onto the serious stuff this week. So, little recap. Last time I worked on this Aston, I was going to fit a new radiator. Now I was going to use the Jaguar XK radiator from the late 90s. I managed to get a radiator, went to fit it, and it didn't fit. The transmission oil cooler pipes don't quite fit into the Jag radiator, the bore's slightly smaller. So in this episode, I'm going to try and modify it and make it work. So basically, the problem we have is the pipes physically screw into these. However, the bore in the centre of it is slightly too small. These are 10.5mm, and we need it to be 11.8mm. Now, fortunately, I've actually bought 11.8mm drill. I bought the best one I could find. It cost me 11 quid. So I'm going to have a go at drilling it. Now, this could be deemed as a little bit of a bodge, but this trick alone could save me potentially 700 quid. So it's worth a shot, I think. Now, obviously I do not want swarf inside this cooler. This is for the transmission. And I do think, from doing a bit of research, it cools it after it's been used, that it goes back into the sump. So in theory it should go back for a filter before it goes back in. But it'd be much better if we don't get any swarf in at all. So I'm doing a couple of little things to hopefully prevent that happening. First off, I'm going to make sure there's an airline blowing in the other inlet to essentially make sure it pressurises this end, blows the swarf out. I'm also going to grease the drill and go really slowly and keep taking my time, pulling it out, cleaning it off. I think doing that's going to prevent it. And then finally I'll just give it a quick flush out as well. Right, so the drill is greased. I've got the airline. I just need to go for it now. I'm a little bit scared here, but sorry, let's do it. That hasn't gone to plan, guys. So I've drilled the first one, started drilling the second one, and I noticed when the airline was on, I could hear it in here. So for some reason, there must be some kind of break in there, whether it's a little hole, I don't know. So this radiator basically now is scrap, which is a shame because it cost me 160 quid. However, there is still another option. So I didn't want to do this, but I've got no choice now. I could always unrivet the end, pull this cap off and have a look inside. I may even be able to put the original Aston Martin tank inside this head tank. So we'll do that now. Right, I've got the head tank off. Looks pretty good inside. And I've found the problem. So this is the transmission cooler. What I didn't realise was it's actually hollow. It's like basically a tube welded in a tube with a very small area for the oil to go through. So yeah, I think I can fix this. I think I might be able to solder a little bit of copper over the inside of that. And obviously drill the other side out where I'm at it. Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. Put it back together. That's proper engineering, I think. Well, something like that anyway. So what I've done, I've cleaned the inside of this with a file and a bit of a drill. I've got a copper compression fitting and I've flared the end slightly. And the plan is I'm going to slot it into there, knock it into its tight and then solder it in. And that should seal that hole up. Now remember, I've got absolutely nothing to lose here, so it's worth a shot. It may not work. If it doesn't, I'll have to think of another plan. I'm just putting a bit of flux on. This helps to solder flow. A nice bit of solder there. That may have worked. Can you see that? Not the prettiest job, but it looks like it's got it. So, airline in. Feel it coming out that end. block that. Sounds like it's fixed it, guys. I may be a very lucky man here. Obviously, I've still got to drill the other end out, and I'll probably have to do the same thing again, but happy with that. Right, because I'm now a plumber, I've made a cap to cap the system. So basically, I put a little bit of scrap brass in here. This is like one of the couplings what came with the Jag rad, which isn't needed. So yeah, I basically put a bit of scrap brass in it, and then filled it with solder. And as you can see, that's going to work really well. So if I connect that up, connect the other end to the airline and put it in a water tank, I'll know if it's working or not. Like that. So pressurise that end, I should be able to tell if it's leaking. Now the beauty of this test is it, not only will I be able to tell if there's a leak out of here, which is a bit sealed up, because we've put a O-ring on the end, I'll also be able to tell if it's going to seat properly, because obviously I've drilled it out and I was a bit worried about that. So, in theory, absolutely nothing. It's a good start. So I'll just swap it to the other end. So now this is the end I've soldered. Obviously I've capped it. Moment of truth. And again, absolutely nothing. So that means this is fully fixed. So absolutely nothing, no air bubbles whatsoever from either end. I've absolutely impressed myself today, guys. This is like old-fashioned mechanicking, this proper old school. A lot of people would call it a bulge, I'm going to call it a proper repair. So I've drilled it out, I've cleaned it out, neither end's leaking on the O-ring, and the bit where I damaged is completely sealed, so dead chuffed. So in theory, as long as I can put this back in the rad, put the header tank back on and it seals, we're good to go, eh? Right, so seals are back on. I've put some silicone spray on them just to help them locate. This has got to go back together now, which shouldn't be too difficult. Make sure it's nice and clean, which it looks like it is. Right, that's cleaned up a bit. Let's stick it back on. Right, so I've just put the two on there, just to start it off. And 3. Turn it over. Now, I have done this before, believe it or not. I've taken a header tank apart before and put it back together and it's been okay. So, fingers crossed, we'll get there with this one. Now, if you think this is rough, I completely agree with you to an extent. However, in poorer countries, people do this kind of stuff every day and get vehicles back on the road. Normal car, yeah, I'd probably just bought another rad. This isn't a normal car, it's an expensive car, parts are expensive. And in theory, if I do it properly, there's nothing wrong with doing this. So, yeah, you might think it's a bit rough, but if it works, I'm very happy. At the end of the day, I'm funding the project. So, I've got to try these things. So there we go, that is done, back together, and I'm 99.9% sure it's going to be okay, if I'm honest. Pretty chuffed. Yeah, like I say, proper engineering solution there. Right guys, it's been 48 hours, and the last thing I did before I closed the garage a couple of days ago was to fill this with water and oil, and as you can see, the levels are still perfect and there's no sign of any cross-contamination. So I'm absolutely thrilled. I just thought I'd quickly run through exactly what I did just to make it crystal clear for everybody. So I've done a little drawing here. Now, the orange line is essentially the outer core, the outer pipe. This is a cross section, and the yellow line is the inner pipe. Now these two are brazed together at each end, and then the unions that come off it are kind of brazed onto the outer pipe. Now when I drilled through the unions to make them 11.8 millimeters, I actually went into the inner pipe as well. I went too far and pierced it. So what I've done is I've inserted a bit of copper pipe, which I've done here with a bit of pink pen, inserted it into the end and soldered it up. So I've essentially just plugged it inside there. So that's perfect. I hope that makes it a bit clearer for you guys. Now, I'm not the most conventional person in the world. I do things a little bit differently, and I try to do everything myself. So you've probably worked that out if you already watch my videos. But if you're new, please hit that subscribe button, and I'll carry on doing stuff like this. And I think for all this hard work, I at least deserve a like and a comment. Right, all we need to do now is fit this rad, make sure we've got no leaks, and wrap this video up. Right, rad's obviously fitted now. I'll put some coolant in it, so I'm going to start it, I'll get it up to temperature and see if we can find any leaks. So it's been running about 20 minutes or so, guys. There's no leaks. Heater's blowing warm. The aircon works, which is bloody amazing for one of these. And yeah, can't see no oil leaks or anything. So I think we have sussed this and we've saved ourselves several £100s. So with this video, you should be able to fit a Jaguar XK8 Rad from early noughties to an Aston Martin DB7 Vantage. I hope you enjoyed, guys. Stay tuned for more, and I'll see you very, very soon. Bye-bye. Right, so the grill's greased.